Your internet plan says 1 gigabit, but the number you actually see on your phone is often less than half of that. The gap between what you pay for and what reaches your screen is exactly the problem. Wi-Fi 7 was built to close. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the 3 real changes inside this standard, why one of them matters far more than raw speed, and how to tell if upgrading your router would do anything for you at all. Let's start with why this even matters to you. You probably don't care about a logo on a box. You care about a video call that doesn't freeze when someone else starts a download. You care about a game that doesn't spike to a stutter at the worst possible moment. You care about a movie that loads instantly instead of buffering on the couch while everyone waits. Wi-Fi 7 is mostly a story about those everyday moments, not about a giant number you'll never reach in real life. So here is the core idea in plain language. Wi-Fi is just radio. Your router shouts data through the air on certain frequencies, and your devices listen and shout back. Every new generation of Wi-Fi tries to do 3 things: send more data in each shout, use more lanes at once, and waste less time waiting around. Wi-Fi 7 is the official name for the version built on a standard the engineers call 802.11b, and it pushes hard on all 3 of those fronts. The first change is the most talked about, and it's the one you should trust the least. Wi-Fi 7 can use much wider channels, up to 320 megahertz, which is double the widest channel in Wi-Fi 6. Picture a highway. A wider road lets more cars through at the same time. So in theory, the top speed climbs into the multi-gigabit range. That's where those eye-popping marketing numbers come from. But here's the catch they don't print on the box. Those super wide lanes mostly live in the 6 gigahertz band, and that band has short range and gets blocked easily by walls. Stand one room away, and the wide highway shrinks back down. Raw speed is real, but it's also the part of Wi-Fi 7 you'll feel the least in a normal home. Now keep that in mind, because the second change is the one that actually deserves your attention. It's called multi-link operation, and it quietly fixes a problem that has annoyed people for 20 years. Until now, your device basically picked one band and stuck with it. It chose between the long-range, slower 2.4 GHz band, the balanced 5 GHz band, or the fast but short-range 6 GHz band, and it lived on whichever one it landed on. With multi-link operation, a Wi-Fi 7 device can use more than one band at the same time. Think of it as driving on 2 highways at once and sending your traffic down whichever one is clearer in that exact moment. Why does that matter so much for you? Because the thing that ruins video calls and games usually isn't slow speed, it's latency and inconsistency. Latency is the delay between when you do something and when the network responds. Even on a fast connection, one bad band can cause a sudden lag spike. Multi-link operation gives your device a second path to fall back on. So when one lane hits traffic, your data slides over to the other one without you ever noticing. The result is a connection that feels steadier, not just faster. That smoothness is the real headline of Wi-Fi 7, even though it never fits neatly on a sticker. Let me give you a concrete picture. Imagine you are on a work call in the bedroom while someone in the living room starts streaming a movie, and your phone is backing up photos in the background. On older Wi-Fi, all that traffic competes, and your call is the thing that stutters. With multi-link operation working in the background, your call can ride one band while the heavy downloads spread across another. So the conversation stays clear. You didn't get a bigger number. You got a more reliable experience, which is what you actually wanted the whole time. The third change has an intimidating name, but the idea is simple. It's called 4096 QAM, and you do not need to remember that. Here is the plain version. QAM is a measure of how much information you can pack into each individual radio signal. Going from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7 raises that packing density by roughly 20% in ideal conditions. So each shout from your router carries a little more data than before. The important word there is ideal. To hit that denser packing, your device has to be close to the router with a strong, clean signal. Move far away, add a couple of walls, and the network automatically drops back to a safer, less dense setting. It's a real gain, but it's a close-range gain. So don't expect it to rescue the far corner of your house. Let's pause and connect these three together, because that's where it clicks. Wider channels give you more raw speed up close. Higher density packs more into each signal up close. And multi-link operation is the piece that helps everywhere, by giving your traffic options. 2 of the 3 improvements shine mainly when you're near the router, and one of them helps with the steadiness you feel across the whole home. That's why a router box can advertise a huge number that's technically true and still leave you underwhelmed in the back bedroom. Now the part you've been waiting for, the common mistake. The biggest one is assuming a new router alone unlocks Wi-Fi 7. It doesn't. Wi-Fi is a handshake, and both hands have to support the standard. The phone, laptop, or television you are connecting also needs a Wi-Fi 7 radio inside it. If your devices are a few years old, they will happily connect to a brand new Wi-Fi 7 router, but they'll connect using their older Wi-Fi 6 abilities. You'll have paid for features nothing in your house can actually use yet. The standard rolled out around 2024, so support is still spreading across phones and laptops, mostly arriving in newer high-end models first. The second mistake is blaming Wi-Fi for a problem that lives somewhere else entirely. Your Wi-Fi can only hand you as much internet as your provider sends down the wire. If your plan is 300 megabits, no router on Earth turns that into a gigabit. Wi-Fi 7 improves the journey from your router to your devices inside your home. It does nothing about the pipe coming in from the street. People upgrade routers, hoping for faster downloads from the internet, then feel cheated when nothing changes, because the bottleneck was their plan, not their hardware. So what should you actually do with all this? Start by being honest about where your pain is. If your real complaint is slow downloads from the internet, check your plan speed first, because a new router probably won't fix it. If your complaint is buffering, lag spikes, or a connection that drops in certain rooms, that's a Wi-Fi problem, and that's where a newer standard can genuinely help. Next, check whether the devices you care about most, your main phone and laptop, even support Wi-Fi 7. If they don't, here is little urgency, and a solid Wi-Fi 6 or 6E router may serve you just as well for less money. And if you live in a busy apartment building, drowning in neighbors' networks, the extra room in the 6 GHz band that Wi-Fi 7 leans on can be a real and underrated benefit, because that band is far less crowded today. If you do decide to upgrade, place the router out in the open, not buried in a cabinet or behind the television. Wi-Fi 7's fastest band fades quickly through walls and furniture, so a clear line of sight to where you actually use your devices matters more than ever. A great router in a bad spot will quietly waste most of what you paid for. Let's bring it back to where we started. Remember that gap between the gigabit your plan promised and the smaller number on your screen? Wi-Fi 7 doesn't erase it with a single magic feature. The wide channels and denser signals push your peak speed higher when you're close to the router. But the change that fixes the everyday frustration, the freezing call, the laggy game, the stutter when the house gets busy, is multi-link operation, quietly giving your data a second road to travel on. That steadiness is the upgrade most people will actually feel, even if it never shows up as a bigger number. Understand that, and you'll know exactly when Wi-Fi 7 is worth your money and when it's just a sticker. If this cleared things up, the natural next question is, what's happening in the band itself? So a good one to watch next is the difference between the 2.4, 5, and 6 GHz bands, and which one your devices should actually be using. Knowing that turns your router settings from a mystery into a tool you control.